Hi everyone, this is AJ and welcome back to the channel and welcome to another comic book movies retro reviews. New episode for you. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the movie Spawn. Okay, so first off I'd like to say thank you to Bumper over at Bumper's Movies. I have asked people to say what film they'd like me to take a look at. He did recommend Spawn. Thusly, I have watched Spawn and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. So Bumper's Movies, he's a relatively new channel, fantastic content, fantastic YouTuber. If you like films, if you like DVDs, Blu-rays, all that sort of stuff, then head over to his channel, take a look, give him a sub. Why not? Anyway, let's get on with this one. So Spawn, yeah, so I do actually have two copies of Spawn on Blu-ray. I have the United States release, Amaray, like so, with that cover. And also have a steelbook version. There's a J card obviously wrapped around it there. Yeah, steelbook version of the film as well. Obviously from somewhere abroad. I don't know if that's a German copy or what, I'm unsure. But anyway, yeah, so Spawn. Now, Spawn is based on a comic book. Now, this comic book was released in May of 1992, and it was the second comic released from Image Comics. Now, Image Comics was set up by a load of people who were unhappy working at Marvel, and thusly they left Marvel to create their own company so they could create their own characters and have the control over these characters. Whereas when you create a comic character at Marvel, the character belongs to them. So you have no real control over it. And if that character goes on to make tons of money, then you're just an artist for hire. It belongs to Marvel. So Todd Mcfarlane, who created this comic, left Marvel along with a wealth of other talent like Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, Mark Silvestri. These are all comic book names, and they went and created Image Comics, which is still alive today, and the Spawn comic book is still going strong. It is still published on a monthly basis. It's up to whatever number, I don't know. I stopped reading Spawn a long time ago. It's just one of those ones that got caught up in a culling of comics, but I did stick with it for maybe the first 100 issues or so. So I am well aware of the character. So what happened with the film is that New Line Cinema on September 19th, 1997, released Spawn here in the UK. It had a runtime of 1 hour and 36 minutes and a rating of 12. So yeah, you could go and see it. Now, the film was written for the screen by Alan B. McElroy and Mark A.Z. DePay. Now, Mark A.Z. DePay was also the director on the movie. He has directed a few things, but generally not film, cartoons and things like this. But he did work as a visual effects supervisor on films like The Shallows, which is relatively new, Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, Back to the Future Part 3, The Abyss, The Hunt for Red October. So he has worked on some big films in that visual effects capacity, which is the reason why he got the directing duties for this job, because it was a visually effects heavy movie. Now, this film stars Michael J. White as the character of Al Simmons, or Spawn, John Leguizamo as the clown. This film's primary villain becomes the Violator. Martin Sheen as Jason Wynn, another film's villain. Melinda Clarke as Jessica Priest, who is a character from the comic, and a wealth of other acting talent within the film, D.B. Sweeney, among others. Yes, so it was all there. You had a popular comic book, so what could go wrong? So let's talk about it. So I remember going to see this film at the cinema in 1997. Now, you got to understand that for me, reading comics my entire life, all the superhero genre, I used to march up to London every Thursday or every Wednesday when it turned to Wednesday for release day, me and a mate, and we would troll around all the comic shops. There was loads up there. There was probably about 6 or 7. We're going all of them week after week after week. We had a little route that was planned out, went round to them all, see what was out, come back with our comics. It was exciting times to be a comic collector. It was big times. So I was there at the start of Image Comics when this character first came about. I was there for years before this, and I'm still there now collecting comics. So back in the day, we didn't have, you know, Marvel and DC knocking out the type of films that you get today. So any comic book content that hit the screen, there was excitement for within the comic fan community. It isn't like today where it's open to everyone. And the biggest thing ever, it was sort of a subgenre. It wasn't taken seriously. They didn't particularly do well. Yes, you had the Batman, you had the Superman, but beyond that, you didn't have a lot. So anything that came along, there was excitement for. So this film itself, this follows the story of Al Simmons, who was this like military guy who's now sort of assassin, and he gets double crossed by Jason Wynn, Martin Sheen, because Hell wants Al Simmons as its general for its army. Malbolgia, or the devil, shall we say, wants Al Simmons. John Leguizamo's clown makes this happen. Al Simmons gets killed. You know, he's got a wife, he's got a best friend, and this sort of thing. He's double-crossed, he's killed, and he comes back to Earth. But for him, no time has passed. But on Earth, about 5 years has passed. And when he comes back, his wife has now married his best friend. His daughter's grown up a bit. He's got a dog that's alive. And the planet has moved on from him. You know, he's long gone. There's this other subplot about Jason Wynn wanting to basically rule the Earth. So he's created this virus, and he's got plans to release the virus if people don't come on board with his ideas and pay him money. He wants to, you know what I mean, all this sort of thing. But then the clown wants to manipulate things so that Al Simmons kills him so that he can complete his task of becoming the general of Hell's army, and all this sort of over-exaggerated nonsense of a story, which does sort of fit in with the comics to a degree, I must say. So that's pretty much a rundown of your story. Obviously, Al Simmons sort of doesn't want this and sort of becomes a hero in Spawn, but yeah. Now, I will say that this film was made on a budget of $40 million. It doesn't look very good. It hasn't stood up to the test of time, and the film, even when it came out, didn't look good. There's elements of the film that are okay, but then when you get to the stuff in hell and the devil itself, or Malbolgia as it's called within the context of the comic, it looks awful. The backdrops behind people look bad. The puppet of the devil, or the CGI thing of the devil, it doesn't even. It looks awful. The mouth doesn't move. All this sort of stuff. The effects, or the suit that is worn by Michael J. White as the character of Spawn. He's got a burnt up face, sort of Freddy Krueger style, but it's obvious that he's wearing a full over makeup head mask type of thing that goes over, because it increases his size in this area, which is okay in a sense. You know, it's accurate to the comic book. The suit of Spawn itself, I've got no problem with the suit. I like what they've done with the suit when he's fully masked up, and the green eyes. I think it looks fantastic. There's something about it. There's something that's visceral and tangible about this suit, and I like that. Yes, they compute around and make the cape, but the cape in the comic is as big and exaggerated through Todd Mcfarlane's art as what you get in this film. Only the effects of CGI don't look too good. You've got to remember this was back in 97, 96 when it was made. CGI was pretty much in its infancy still, and you've had leaps and bounds since then, and with the budget that this had, it couldn't really do it. I think the film tried to overstretch its budget, honestly, and gave you this. The story itself is pretty mediocre within the film, I will say that. It's not a particularly great story. it's somewhat confusing. There are the scene changes are awful because you get like sort of like flames across the screen like that to change a scene, or you get a cross that dives in and hits the street, and green thing stuff to change the screen. So the changes between scene to scene are very annoying, very, very annoying. The acting in the film is over the top. I will say that. Michael J. White's not the best of actors anyway, but Martin Sheen is just hamming it up totally. John Leguizamo is so over the top as the clown. I think people at the time might have liked his performance, but for me it's very annoying and very grating. It's like, just do what you want, John. Throw whatever you want to do at the screen and we'll do it. You know, the scene where he's like doing cheerleading, dancing and all this, it's just embarrassing. It is really embarrassing to watch. You know, he does go all out, I'll give him that. He goes all out. You wouldn't know it's John Leguizamo whatsoever. But it's annoying, it's embarrassing. There's a lot of fart jokes in it. You know, all right, it's rated 12. They probably loved it. But there you go. What can I say? Melinda Clarke I did like as the character of Jessica Priest. Jessica Priest is a character direct out of the comics. It was unfortunate her character was killed off so early within the film. I'd like to see more of her, but it weren't out of the realms of possibility that if a sequel was commissioned that she could have been back. Because obviously Al Simmons came back from hell, so, you know, it's doable. Yeah, now, the thing that this film didn't dare to do, the territory it didn't dare to step into, is that in the comic book there is this plot, or there was at the beginning, where when Al Simmons came back to Earth, you know, he agreed to come back. The devil said, yes, if you agree to lead my armies, I'll send you back to Earth, so you can see Wanda. Only the thing is, obviously, like in the film, Al Simmons is all burnt up. Now, in the comics, Al Simmons did have the power to give himself a normal human face. But only thing is that it was a white face. Yes, he's a black guy, and he could only put on a white face. Obviously, the films didn't want to go down that path. They didn't want to touch on that sort of subject matter for reasons that you can probably understand. But it would have been a brave decision if they did, because it was a very, very clever sort of a story trope within the comics, in that it's like the devil has given you the ability, but not. It's like the devil's teasing you and just... or do you know what I mean? Or torturing you to a degree that you can't have your own face or even your own race. And that was great in the comics. I loved that element, and it's just a shame that the film didn't grip hold of that and go with it. Yeah, so you're looking at a film that is pretty poorly written, looks pretty poor, not particularly well directed. The visual effects are bad, but there's elements of the film that I like. There's elements, you know, I think what it is for me is that, you know, because I can watch this film every 5 or 6 years, and I watch it and I think, this is a bad film. It's a really bad film, and it is a bad film, but there's elements I like, and it's a film that I wish I liked, a film I wish I loved, a film that I wish was so much better than what it actually is. This film is ripe for a remake. They should really I know there's rumours of it. It's been, you know, it's been rumours for like a decade of this film coming back, a remake being done. And with today's special effects, this could be done wonders. It's just unfortunate. It's not. Doesn't seem to come to pass. Todd Mcfarlane, the creator, has said he wants to direct a film. I don't particularly think that's a very good idea, because look what happened when Frank Miller, comic creator, directed The Spirit. It didn't go down well whatsoever. And I think that Todd McFarlane should be kept away from directing and just stay in a producer capacity for the film. But yeah, so, you know, my thoughts on the film, like I said, a poor film, I know that, but I get a small level of enjoyment out of it, even though it is a bad film, and I acknowledge and know it is a terrible movie. Let's get into a little bit of trivia about the film, shall we? Like what I always do. So let's talk about it. Okay, so the original choice for director on this film was actually Tim Burton. I don't know why that didn't come to pass, but that's who they wanted. After his magnificent efforts on Batman in 1989, 1992. He was the go-to choice. Martin Sheen himself had always wanted to be in a comic book film, and thusly that's why he agreed to star in this movie. I don't know what his thoughts on that are now after seeing the finished piece of work. The scene in the film where John Leguizamo is eating that pizza that looks like it's got maggots on, he actually ate live waxworms at that point. That was genuine, what you see. He did take a bite of that pizza, he did chew on it with those maggots on it, and then when cut was said, he vomited it out. It's dedication to your art, isn't it? Now, there is a scene in the film where Todd Mcfarlane fights the Violator on the top of the rooftop. And when they fall down, hit ground level, you see Spawn walking around with a gun back and forth. And there's one of the homeless people who's like there watching him do it, who's really close next to him as he passed by him a couple of times. And that's actually comic book creator Todd Mcfarlane right there in a cameo appearance within the movie. Yep, he's the guy who created and write and draw Spawn. There we go. Now, New Line Cinema, they were extremely excited by this film as it was being made. You know, they thought they were onto a winner. And thusly, they topped up the budget by $20 million. Yeah, to $40 million. So originally the budget was $20 million. Now, I don't know what to think about that, because at $40 million, the film looks terrible. How would it have looked at $20 million? Unbearable, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, so on that $40 million budget, this movie went on to take a worldwide gross of $88 million. So it doubled over that budget. So it made a healthy profit. It didn't make a loss, but it's not a film that's spoken well of, understandably so. But yeah, so anyway, so that was my little look at Spawn, my thoughts on it, my talk about it. Yeah, so I will be back again in a couple of weeks with another episode of this. If you like that and you want to see my thoughts on another comic book movie, then hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, come over and join the channel, and while you're at it, hit the notification bell, because that will keep you apprised of when that next episode of a comic book movies retro reviews is up. Now I will tell you that the next episode is Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, the Marvel comic book character, movie based on him. So yeah, come and join the channel. Now if you want to leave me a comment, then please do so. I do reply to all comments eventually. I will get back to you, good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want to say. And also, if there's a comic book movie before the MCU and DCEU that you'd like me to take a look at, that you'd like me to give my thoughts on, not only will I probably eventually get there, but if you let me know, I might shift it up my schedule. So yes, anyway, so this was it. This was me, my thoughts on Spawn from 1997. This is AJ. I'm getting going. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.